So you want to retire before the typical age of 65 and spend some of your best years doing what you want when you want. But you're not sure how much money you might need to fund your lifestyle. Whether you're aiming to retire at 30, 40, 50 or 60, the big question is always the same. How much money do you actually need? So in today's video, we're diving into the numbers to help you get a clearer picture. The first step with any plan is to start with the end in mind. So in our case, we need to figure out how much you'll spend each month. But everyone's different. Lifestyles vary, as do living costs. So I'm going to keep it simple and look at two example budgets. One where our expenses are £2,000 a month and another where we're spending £3,000 a month. And yes, those numbers will adjust for inflation as the years go by. The most common method of working out how much you'll need is multiplying your annual expenses by 25. This originates from the 4% rule you may have heard of. The rule comes from a study conducted by financial planner William Bengen, who in 1994 analysed historical data and found that if you withdraw 4% of your portfolio in the first year of retirement and adjust that amount for inflation each subsequent year, your savings should last 30 years. So if we spend £2,000 a month, we times this by 12, then times this by 25, we get to £600,000. If we do the same for £3,000 a month, we get to a figure of £900,000. For its simplicity, the 4% rule is a useful starting point, but we've not considered taxes, other sources of income, and at the ages we're going to be looking at, we need our income to last longer than 30 years. To find out how much we're going to need, I'm going to use historical data of global equity markets. And for each age I look at, I expect our money to last until we have a survival probability of 10% or less. So it means that it'll last us until our late 90s. The money will be invested in a 100% global equity portfolio and have annual fees of 0.5%. And we will place this money in a general investment account. So we're accounting for any potential capital gains and dividend taxes. Now each year I've assumed we will use our ISA allowance, so transfer £20,000 from the general investment account to an ISA, which will then be reinvested in the same portfolio and have the same ongoing fees. So there are our assumptions. Let's jump over to our cash flow planning tool to see what we find. So I've been looking through the cash flow planning tool, and here as a starting point we have a 30-year-old with £400,000 who is withdrawing £2,000 per month. When we look at a median, so an average scenario where there's been a modest inflation and an average sequence of returns, we can see the pot remains relatively stable and our withdrawals aren't eating into the investment at a significant rate. But this is only a median scenario, and in the future we don't know if we'll have above average returns in the early years or what our level of inflation will be during this. Here we can see all the other historical years and how they panned out. And in sum, you can see that we run out of money in our 40s. This shows we can't rely on a single historical average alone. So I'm looking for an amount where our plan is sustainable so we don't run out of money in 90% of the historical scenarios. Let me run the analysis and see what I find. So I've looked at our figures and here are the results. For our 30-year-old, we would need £566,000 to spend £2,000 per month and have a success rate of 90%. For our 40-year-old, our figure is £612,000. For our 50-year-old, we have £621,000. And for our 60-year-old, we have a figure of £576,000. Now, if we include a full state pension in each of these ages, then here are our new figures. Now, I appreciate at 30 or 40 and even 50, you are unlikely to have built up a full state pension, but we'll assume out of your income you make voluntary national insurance contributions. This, of course, has the biggest effect for those in their 60s, as they are closest to the state pension age, where our original £576,000 is now reduced to £365,000, as the state pension covers just under half of the £2,000 per month income required. But what if we wanted to spend £3,000 per month to achieve our success rate? Our 30-year-old would need £852,000, 40-year-old need £922,000, 50-year-old need £941,000, and our 60-year-old need £871,000. And again, here are the results where a full state pension is included, and as expected, the biggest impact is for our 60-year-old, who would need less than £217,000. When I was doing the analysis on this, what I found most surprising about these numbers is that in the scenarios where we don't include the state pension, the figures at age 50 are actually higher than age 30 or 40. When I looked into this, it was down to the power of investment growth, where returns can make up a significant proportion of our income needed over time. Now, it's important to stress that when you look at these numbers, you might have a feeling that you're way off and not doing enough to get to these amounts. But by being honest with yourself and assessing your own situation is really the basis of a solid plan. From here, you can work backwards on how you get to where you want to be. But just because we're building a plan today doesn't mean it's set in stone. Remember, the figures are based on today's tax rules, the current state pension forecast, and current allowances, which no doubt will change in the future. And for us personally, life changes, and your plan should evolve with it. Whether it's adjusting your spending, working part-time for a few years, or even re-evaluating your investment strategy, having flexibility and options is the key to long-term success. Which is why you should check out this video here, where I go through the different factors that can affect your retirement plan, and I'll see you over there.